a couple of more things on the Trilogy. One, it has a battery. The battery comes in and out. It's about a 6-hour battery, so it's pretty long. Now we have an extra battery. You should get an extra battery and a charging station. Actually has 2 places to charge. We plug the Trilogy in at night on the back of her chair and charge it during the night, and then it stays on the battery all day long. But we do have another battery, so we'd have about 12 hours of emergency power if we had to have that. I showed you the emergency power system that we had, but that would only last a little while, an hour or so, and then we would have to go to the Trilogy and use the batteries. So make sure you get an extra battery. That's probably a good idea. There's also a little sponge filter in the back, and we didn't clean it as faithfully as we should have done, but you clean that and you just wash it out, and then it just sits in the back like that. That's the Trilogy. It has a humidity system with it, and you need the humidity. We didn't like the humidity system, but there wasn't much we could do about it. The humidity system sits on a IV pole, and it has the distilled water in a bag, and then it drips down into the container, and the container has a heating element underneath it. So it heats the element, or heats the element here and heats the water, and then it blows water from the Trilogy into the humidity, or the water, and then up out of the tube. And you can see that there's a wire in the tube. It's a heated tube. The problem, and the reason Christy didn't like it, was it's hot. There's 2 settings on it. One is invasive, which would be your tracheotomy tube, and the other one is the non-invasive. So you have to hold it, make sure it goes down to the non-invasive. The trach tube, or the invasive, is warmer. I don't know what it runs at, maybe 88 or 92 degrees. It's pretty warm. Even the non-invasive is warm. It's 83 or 84 degrees. And Christy thought that was hot. We were trying to get her used to it, so she'd be on it for a couple of hours every day, because the BiPAP ultimately wouldn't be able to meet her needs and push enough air down and pull enough air out. So we were trying to get her used to the Trilogy and the humidity in the Trilogy. Now whenever she went out in the wheelchair, she was attached to the Trilogy, and she didn't have humidity in it, so it dried her out, and that was a problem. We actually outfitted the car so that it would take the BiPAP and give her the humidity. We outfitted the car so it would actually run the BiPAP. The boys did that, and it was relatively complicated, and we'll talk about that in another YouTube video. But the Trilogy, if they get advanced in ALS, they're going to have to use the Trilogy, and ultimately that's what they go to. Ultimately it gets to the point so the Trilogy even doesn't handle it. They have to go to a trach tube or die. Christy made me promise that I would never put a trach tube down her, because they can live for a long time after they have the trach tube down. And Christy died yesterday, as a matter of fact, I'll just tell you. But she just died in her sleep. It was very peaceful, very nice. But we were trying to get her to use the Trilogy because she wasn't getting enough air with the BiPAP, and we could see that we were going to have to go to the Trilogy sooner or later. Anyway, that's the Trilogy, the setup for the humidity in the Trilogy. Always use distilled water because it evaporates it out, and it would deposit a lot of calcium in the heating element, or the little container down there. You get new tubes and you get new container about every 6 months. That will be part of the deal that they run off of. So don't know much else about the Trilogy. It has a nice little pouch here, and we used everything from a baggie with extra underwear in it to the hand sanitizer. It's really important that you keep clean. We had the Sevameline that she used. We'll do another YouTube on that. Another sanitizer. She used a lot of saline. Put the saline up the nose. That's another YouTube. It cuts the mucus so that they can swallow the mucus. And mucus is a big deal with ALS. Anyway, Trilogy.